or call 911. Either way is good. Okay, this is one of my favorite. I think this is one of the most interesting to me is room positioning. I learned this, and ever since, anytime I meet with a bride anywhere, be it Starbucks, be it at a house, wherever, I always try to position the room to fit their needs. First off, in all these, in the next few slides, you being a vendor are going to be the black circle, and the bride's going to be the white circle. In this case, you never want to put a table directly between you and the bride, because that creates a visual barrier between you and the bride. It comes off as an interrogation. It comes off as you're fighting for something. It comes off as you're like negotiating a price of a house or something like that. It's not good. So therefore, if you use a corner, it kind of lightens the mood. It makes you more of a friendly conversation. Think about if you sit right across the table from your best friend, it kind of feels unnatural. But if you're sitting in a corner, it feels more open. Another thing, this is a big key. You never want to have your customer's your customer's back to a open room or a big window. You always want to have your customer's back to a wall. They've proven that brain frequency and heart rate is actually decreased by 20% when their back is to a wall compared to when their back is to a big open room, because they feel vulnerable that way. If you notice that in old mob movies, the mob boss is always sitting in the back corner, so that way he feels safe and secure behind them because he has a wall behind them. That way he can see the whole room and he feels comfortable. That's another thing, and not necessarily that makes a huge difference, but if your bride's heart rate and brain frequency is going up a lot, she might not feel quite as comfortable with your prices, your presentation, and whatnot. Then we go to a two-person meeting. Round tables are always preferable, it seems like, because the round table, just like the Knights of the Round Table, where everyone is equal, it promotes equality, everyone feels more comfortable. Then, again, their backs are still to the wall. They can feel safer. And this is interesting. This is, how many bridal planners or wedding planners do they have in the room? Okay. Before you throw stuff at me, let me get to the second side of this next one, all right? So this is interesting. This is the meeting with a wedding planner. Here you want to be the black circle. You want your bride and groom to be the white circle, or bride and bride's mom. You want the wedding planner to be the red circle. You see that? You've created a barrier between the bride and groom and the bridal planner. That means you control the conversation there. You control the conversation there. And also, to the bride and groom, it feels like you're on their side and you're helping negotiate against this other bad person. And also, maybe if you make the other person wear red, maybe that'll evoke some other emotion. Okay, but here's the good part. If you're a wedding planner, you want to be the black dot. You want to let the vendor be the red dot. So if any of you ever being vendors, go to a meeting where the wedding planner was in this group and you realize you're sitting across the table, you need to move fast. Or find a new favorite wedding planner. I don't know. Okay, eyes and laughter. It's a cute picture. I found that on Google. So, okay, laughter is 15% of humor, or is 15% humor, excuse me. The way they test this is they would have a lot of different people watching the exact same comedy movie, and they would put one group of people by themselves alone in a room watching the comedy movie, and they test the amount of laughter they had, and then they put these other people in groups of 4 or 5, complete strangers, a group of 4 or 5 watching the same movie, and they realized that those by themselves only laughed 15% of the total amount of laughter the people were together. Does that make sense? That if you're alone watching a movie, a comedy movie or whatever, you're only going to laugh a small fraction as amount if you're with friends. Also, relationship experts tell us that in order to have a healthy relationship, the way you judge a healthy relationship is how much laughter you have amongst people in that relationship. So it's kind of a point that I kind of pointed out earlier that if you can cause a bride to smile at your presentation, that automatically gives her good vibes. It gives her a positive outlook upon your business, upon your image. If you can cause a bride to laugh, you've pretty much won her heart. I think it's fair to say that's a huge step towards making her feel comfortable with you. Next, we go into eye contact. Eye contact is very interesting. It's probably the fastest way to create emotional bond between two people. Moodlet restaurants have very effectively taken advantage of this concept. When you're attracted to someone, your pupils dilate, they become larger. When you're looking at a picture you like, when you're looking at someone you like, when you're looking at a diamond or whatever, your pupils automatically dilate, become larger. Moodlet restaurants, the reason they're so dimly lit is that when it's dark, just like the aperture on the camera, your pupils become larger, they let in more light. So if you're sitting across the table from your significant other, with candles and flowers and whatnot, and you're looking into their eye, and you notice that you have dilated pupils subconsciously, of course. Of course, they aren't going to say, "Oh, your pupils are big tonight," So thanks, I've been to the gym. So that's what I tell my girlfriend. So they're looking at you, and subconsciously you're going to trigger, oh, this person's really attracted to me. That's the secret of mood-lit restaurants. I don't know if maybe McDonald's and Burger King should employ the same thing, but I know nice restaurants do. And also, Japanese pearl salesmen use the same technique. They would study for years how to measure the dilation of people's pupils, and so that way, when they showed them pearls or showed them their product, they could watch a person's pupils, and the larger they dilated, they knew that they can negotiate a higher price from that pearls. And the smaller, of course, they are, they knew that they had less negotiating powers. Next, we go on to the be careful part. Just like smiling, you don't want to be a creeper with eye contact. I thought it'd be funny one time because I read a little article about it saying that you have to, as a male, you have to be very careful with having eye contact with other males because either they'll depending on the male's preference, they'll either like it or too much, or they'll get really mad about it. And so I thought it'd be funny one time, or interesting at least, to experiment with this when I met with the bride and groom. And so I tried to give the groom a lot of eye contact. I realized he is looking away really quick, and he's getting a little bit nervous. And I was like, well, that's not good. I need to get a deposit before I do that. So now I stare at him all day. One interesting thing is if you watch world leaders, especially those in the Middle East, the most powerful person always keeps the eye contact the longest. Anytime you have two people making eye contact, the subordinate, the one who's taking the lower position, the one who is under the other, will always look away first. For example,
That's not fair.
yes. So that's a mild example. One way I've done this in restaurants, and my girlfriend got, I guess, a little irritated about it, is I would watch other couples, and I'd say, you don't know who wears the pants in that relationship, and I'd watch them, and I'd see who would look away the most first. And it's very amazing. Another thing is that weird?
What'd you say?
It's being able to tell. It's basically it's very effective within that. Another thing is with couples. It's funny that whoever wears the pants in a relationship per se, whoever is the dominant of the relationship, always walks with a hand in front, always having the upper hand. It's funny that they point it out, but then they're showing. I read an article a while back saying that Hillary Clinton almost always took the front hand when walking with Bill. So that's just something to think about. I don't know. In that case, I guess Bill didn't wear the pants.